Hello? 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 Hello, beautiful people. Please, we'll be starting in a bit. Find your seats. Those still in the foyer greeting each other, there is more time for that. Let's all settle down, and in the next 5 or so minutes, we'll get the game started. I encourage those in the foyer to come in and find their seats. Yes, now that everybody is looking at me, I can go and sit down. Please, shall we all rise to welcome the Minister of Energy and Green Transition of the Republic of Ghana. He says I shouldn't do it, but I'll do it all the same. Please, let's sit down. Hello, welcome everybody to the Future of Energy Conference 2025. We have succeeded in making this the mecca of resource governance to the extent that we've drawn everybody that matters in the space from Africa across the globe to Accra. You are all welcome. Let me try my broken French and say, bienvenue à tout le monde. I think the rest you have to pay me before you hear it. I am Kojo Yauche with the Africa Center for Energy Policy. And for the next 2 days, myself and my colleague will be chaperoning you. She'll introduce herself.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mabel Akwe, Senior Policy Analyst at the Africa Center for Energy Policy. I'll be supporting Kojo to host you. Do you have a wonderful time?
Great, thank you, Mabel. So this year, we have a very important conversation over the next 2 days. We are looking at financing Africa's energy future, unlocking investments for energy access and economic transformation. Big, big, big words, and I'm hopeful that the conversations will be able to break them down for everybody to understand. For those of you who are French speakers, there are translators behind us. The devices are in front of you. Please, let's try and see whether they are not deceiving us. Yeah, any French speakers here? Le français est bon? Okay, good, great. No objections, we'll move on. We have sign language interpreters for our colleagues from the hearing impaired and deaf fraternity as well. For our colleagues joining us online, you are welcome. We've not forgotten about you. We'll make sure that your comments, your thoughts, and your questions feature in the conversations that we have. A few organizations helped us to bring this wonderful event to you. My colleague Mabel will help us appreciate those organizations.
Thank you very much, Kojo. So we want to take this time, this important moment, to acknowledge our partners and friends who share this vision with us and have committed time and resources over the years to ensure that this comes to a fruition. First of all, we want to say a very big thank you to our co-conveners, NZ Jayo, and also to our supporting partners. We have the Ford Foundation, the Global Methane Hub, OSF, Natural Resource Governance Institute, and the Africa Climate Foundation, Publish What You Pay, Global Witness, and Deloitte. A very big thank you to you all for supporting this great vision.
And a very big thank you to all of you for booking your tickets and coming to Accra. I hope that while you are here, you invest in the local economy. Your per diems, please spend them. So we'll take a welcome note from the chief host of this great event, a man who has built convening power to pull all of us from wherever we were to Accra. Please help me welcome my boss, the most powerful man, Benjamin Boakye, the Executive Director of INSEP.
Please don't let Kojo deceive you. Distinguished Honorable Minister for Energy and Green Transitions, Dr. John Jinapor, Ms. Rukaya El Rufai, Special Advisor to the President and National Economic Council and Climate Change in the Office of the President of Nigeria, Ms. Sunita Kamal, President and Chief Executive Officer, Natural Resource Governance Institute, Ms. Shaima Hussein, Deputy Resident Representative, United Nations Development Program, UNDP, Ms. Yaya Catherine Diop, Director, Energy Transitions, Ministry of Energy, Petroleum, and Mines in Senegal, distinguished participants from the diplomatic community, distinguished participants from academia. I'm seeing professors are in the room, and government representatives from across the region, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues from civil society and the media. Thank you all for making time to be here. Welcome to Accra. On behalf of the board, in particular, of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, my own behalf, and on behalf of my co-convener, Nzi Njayo, we just want to say a warm welcome once again to you to the Future of Energy Conference 2025. We are deeply grateful for this commitment to be here today. We do appreciate that traveling in the region can be daunting. It's not a simple task. Many of you have endured multiple layovers, long connections, and of course, the unpredictable weathers to fly from the north, south, east, and west to join us today for this conference. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here. Your presence is not coincidental. It is a testimony to the urgency and importance of the agenda on the table today. This gathering is a call to seriousness and a shift from what we have become accustomed to. Let us work with focus and conviction, free from distraction, determined to live here not only with ideas, but also with solutions. I would like to thank the dedicated team of ASAP who tirelessly put this together, imagined these processes for us to have this conference. There may be imperfections in the way we have done it, but we try to do it our way to make sure that we can run our lean budget and still have a good conference. You know what it is, where you have a champagne appetite, but you have local beer budget. And that is what we've done to put this together. So on behalf of the organizing team, I just want to thank you for coming and thank them especially for putting this together. Now the moment before us. I know this year has been extraordinary. Many of us in the room have labored together across different forums, wrestling with the stubborn reality of energy poverty in Africa. And yet, this moment, this gathering, is our flagship opportunity. It is our chance to pause, reflect, and look into the crystal ball of possibility. We are here to envision a future where Africa is energy secure, where energy is not the privilege of the few, but the right of all, where access is not just a promise, but delivered, and where affordability is not a debate, but a lived reality. Last year, I reminded the conference that for any child in 21st century to study only when God graces us with the sun or the moon is a reflection of our collective failure to urgently deal with the energy poverty problem. The numbers remain haunting. 600 million of our brothers and sisters, we are told, still live without access to electricity. As if that were not tragic enough, over 700,000 people mostly women and children, die each year from cooking with unclean energy. These are not just statistics. They are lives cut short, futures denied, and dreams extinguished. This is, above all, a call to duty. A call to innovate ourselves out of this crisis with the urgency it demands. A call to pursue concerted effort that encourage research, courage, and innovation rooted in Africa's own context. A call to disrupt the inertia of business as usual and embrace the discomfort of change. It is in that spirit that this conference places premium on innovation. This is why we launched the Innovation Challenge last year, to identify existing efforts, to amplify them, and to spark a new generation of ideas that are not only clever, but practical. Not only ambitious, but deeply grounded in the realities of the continent. Through this, we confront another sobering truth. Intellectual property registration in Africa lags miles behind the rest of the world. This is not because our people lack ingenuity. It is because we have not built the ecosystem that reward research and protect ideas. If we are to drive our energy transition, this must change. The global energy transition landscape is in a flux. Solar photovoltaic systems with storage are now crashing to record low in price. What opportunity does this present for Africa? Are we interpreting the trends carefully and correctly? Electric vehicles are becoming cheaper, and in some of our cities, the aspiration of everyday taxi driver is no longer to buy another petrol car, but to own an electric car, because it cuts running costs by 60 to 70%. This is not just a marginal shift. That is a revolution in the making. But revolutions does not come without consequences. What will happen to our existing energy systems in the market, to investments in conventional fuels, and to the millions of jobs tied to the current order? 2 years ago, many were still arguing whether electrification truly posed a threat to the fossil fuel industry. Today, the evidence is undeniable. EV adoption is accelerating, efficiency data is robust, and the shift is real. Imagine this. In some of our countries, and I have seen them dotted across the region, a single filling station can accommodate 50 cars at once. Will these stations become relics, stranded as museums for the next generation? It's an important question for us to think through it. These are not abstract questions. They demand clear, thoughtful answers from us today at this conference. Our theme for this year's conference, Financing Africa's Energy Future, Unlocking Investment for Energy Access and Economic Transformation. The focus is simple but bold. How do we finance energy access? Not in theory, but in practice. Not in the narrow sense of extending a grid line to a village, but in the richer sense of enabling households and businesses to actually use and afford the power. True access is not wires in the ground or above it. True access is light in the home, power in the factory, and energy in the schools and hospitals. That is the kind of access we must define in this conference. That brings us to the question, Why then is the grid so expensive? Which inefficiencies along the value chain are driving up the cost? How do we dismantle the risk barriers that inflate the cost of capital in Africa and in energy projects that we see around us? Why is the cost of financing so high, even when governments already provide sovereign guarantees that should reduce the risk? These are not rhetorical questions again. They are the heartbeat of this conference. We must leave here with clearer pathways, sharper recommendations, and stronger collaborations to shift the financing paradigm. Domestic financing will have to play a role. We cannot forever look outward for solutions, but we must ask, where would the capital come from? What financing instruments can best serve Africa's unique need? How do we de-risk projects without transferring all the risk to governments who are already stretched beyond limits? Friends, the future of energy in Africa is not just a technical and financial issue. It is profoundly human. It is about dignity, equity, and the simple right to live a life of possibility. The task before us is difficult, yet we must get it done. We must dare to reimagine financing. We must dare to build innovation ecosystems. We must dare to interpret the green revolution through Africans' eyes, not as passive observers, but as active shapers. This conference is not just about dialogue, as we will have them. It's about decisions, even as we go from here. It's not just about ideas. It is about implementation of the ideas that we generate. It's not just about looking into the crystal ball. It is about shaping what we see into reality. So once again, I welcome you to the Future of Energy Conference 2025. Let us be bold in our conversations, generous in our collaborations, network with others, and let's pursue that solution that Africa needs. May this gathering be remembered not only for the questions we asked, but for the answers we dared to give. And not only for the vision we pointed, but for the future we began to build. On that note, I thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think he deserves another applause. So the task before us is difficult but clear: to ensure that Africa does not only participate in the energy transition, but lead in the global energy transition with bold solutions that are resilient, inclusive, and sustainable without leaving anybody behind. Thank you very much, Ben, for those that are called to action. On that note, we want to humbly invite our guest speaker. He is a distinguished Ghanaian politician, economist, and development finance expert with extensive experience in both the public and private sectors. He is currently the Minister of Energy and Green Transition and a Member of Parliament for the Yape-Kasogu constituency. He has held various leadership positions, including serving as the ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee and a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. He has also served as a Deputy Minister of Energy and Petroleum, and later as a Deputy Minister of Power from 2013 to 2017. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome with a round of applause Dr. John Abdoulaye Jinapor.
Thank you very much. I was sitting and asking myself, are all these accolades mine? Let me thank all of you. And welcome you to Accra, the capital city of Ghana. I heard the MC state that try and spend a lot of your per diem and money here. So I need not reiterate that. He's made my work for me. So I'm sure that the tourism potential of this country will be boosted by your presence here. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my great honor and privilege to warmly welcome you to the Future Energy Conference, an international gathering of minds committed to shaping the future of energy. We are indeed grateful for your presence here today, which not only reflects your unwavering commitment to sustainable development and energy innovation, but reinforces the importance of global dialogue and cooperation towards addressing the challenges and opportunities within the energy sector. And in this case, I normally reemphasize the need to focus on inclusive growth and sustainable development. Your participation in this conference will surely be instrumental in advancing both national and international energy goals and needs. We are confident that your insights would inspire and guide the important conversation taking place at this conference. But let me also use this opportunity to commend the Africa Center for Energy Policy and its partners for convening this timely dialogue on one of the most pressing challenges of our time, financing Africa's energy future. Indeed, no economy can grow without energy. And when we talk of energy, we focus on reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy sources, which is in line with SDG 7. Indeed, it is the lifeblood for industrialization. It is digital transformation and brings about social development. And like my brother Ben said, about 600 million people in Africa still lack access to energy. Indeed, whilst Africa accounts for about 17% of the world's population, it accounts for just about 4% of energy consumption. And it's even more serious in sub-Saharan Africa, where you have about half of the population without access to electricity. And it's even more dire for rural communities, where you have just about 25% of the population having access to electricity. And so the reality is stark when it comes to Africa. And I believe that this conference will provide us with opportunities to dialogue, to deliberate, and come up with innovative ideas as to how we can bridge that gap and ensure that we do not have this challenge going on as a continent. We must therefore make our energy sector sustainable, not as an option, but as an imperative. If Africa is to achieve inclusive economic growth and secure its rightful place within the global economy, affordable, reliable energy must be pivotal in whatever we do, and energy poverty must be dealt away with. Sincere collaboration between governments, the private sector, and development institutions is central to this transformation. Governments must provide clear policy direction and regulatory stability and predictability. The private sector must be brought on board, because the private sector brings on innovation, efficiency, and they mobilize the needed resource and capital for energy sector investments. Our multilateral partners must not be left out. They must help de-risk projects and expand concessional and blended financing mechanisms. Indeed, Ghana's experience has shown the importance of this balance. In recent years, we've worked with independent power producers and financiers to review legacy power purchase agreements, ensuring tariffs are not only competitive, but aligns with our fiscal capabilities whilst protecting investor confidence. And on this note, I want to single out my brother and friend and colleague, Ben Boachi, for the work he's been doing with us. When we assumed office, we looked at all our power purchase agreements and we thought that the cost of power was just too high. But here you are, you have legally binding agreements. And so what do? We needed to constitute a team to engage with the IPPs and to renegotiate. And when we looked around, we did not pick somebody from government. We picked Ben Boachi to be the chair for that committee. And I'm very happy to announce that through his instrumentality, we've achieved a lot. We've achieved a lot of reduction. And this is what we mean by public-private partnership. It's not just mobilizing capital or ensuring that we deliver projects, but it's also about collaborating in this manner towards the nation's benefits. And I thank you very much, Ben. I have another assignment for you, so please lace your boots. That's a tougher one within the petroleum sector. And I'll be counting on you in this partnership going forward. Permit me to share some of Ghana's own initiatives which aligns with the spirit of this conference. An energy transition framework to decarbonize our power and petroleum sector while maintaining energy security is clearly underway. This includes scaling up renewables, clean cooking solutions, and green hydrogen studies. A renewable energy and green transition fund designed to mobilize capital for low-carbon infrastructure and innovation has been launched, and so far, I can confidently say that we have been able to mobilize some very good resources. And so the issue of EV vehicles and all that is being factored in. This year, we envisage that we'll be able to put all cabinet ministers to drive EV vehicles within Ghana to set as a testament. But I also see that the filling stations you are talking about, because the batteries for these EV vehicles are getting smaller and smaller. And what I see is that in future, these petrol, diesel, or fossil fuel stations will become EV battery stations. And people will no longer have to park their cars to charge their vehicles over minutes or hours. You should be able to drive through these same filling stations and just replace your battery and keep driving on. And so through innovation, I'm very confident that we can make use of some of these products or some of these filling stations. We are also scaling up solar projects and mini-grids to underserved communities and supporting productive uses of energy. And so far, we've launched a project to connect 150 island communities to electricity, not through the national grid, but by using utility-scale solar. The Ghana Nuclear Power Program for nuclear energy as a reliable base is also on the table. Regional power integration to deepen our participation in the West African Power Pool to strengthen resilience and cost effectiveness is also witnessing significant milestones. So far, we supply power to Togo, we supply power to Burkina, we supply power to Côte d'Ivoire, and we intend extending to other neighboring countries. We also supply power to Benin. And so in the spirit of that cooperation, we believe that we can work together, and we take gas from Nigeria. And so what Ghana does is that we take the gas from Nigeria, we generate power, and re-export. And we are in discussions with Nigeria to see if we can have a barter, where we take their gas, convert it to power, and export the power to Nigeria in the spirit of West African cooperation. I can see my Nigerian my Nigerian colleagues either laughing, giggling, or doing something else. But I believe it's in the spirit of cooperation. You give us gas, we give us power. You give you power. When we assumed office, the power situation was very challenged, but I'm happy to note that we've had very consistent, reliable supply of power for months now. We intend to work to consolidate the gains that we've made so far. These efforts reflect Ghana's conviction that energy must be the engine for industrialization, for job creation, and more importantly, for accelerated inclusive economic growth. Within our green and just transition policy, ladies and gentlemen, unlike other developing nations, our continent is still striving to meet the basic needs of our citizens. We therefore argue strongly that the energy transition must be carefully calibrated, ensuring that clean energy pathways do not undermine energy affordability, industrial growth, and job creation. We are for green transitions, we are for renewables, but we believe that it ought to be done in a carefully thought out manner so that we do not dislocate our economies. And I'm happy that solar systems are getting cheaper and cheaper. And in Ghana, what we have done is that instead of storing the solar power, what we do is that we use our hydro as the battery for the solar. So we are deploying a lot of solar where we use the solar during daytime, and then nighttime we switch from the solar to the hydro sources. And that balance so far has been very, very effective, and we intend pursuing that further. This is why regional value chain development, supported by initiatives such as AFTA, is critical. Local processing of critical minerals, local manufacturing of clean energy technologies, and skills development must be an integral solution as far as the sub-region is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme for this conference, Financing Africa's Energy Future, is both a challenge and a call to action. We must therefore mobilize competitive and sustainable financing mechanisms, including bond markets, carbon trading, and green funding. African governments alone cannot shoulder the cost of energy investments. Recently, I was working on a paper, and when I looked at the statistics, about 80% of the investments in Africa were borne by African governments. And whilst we required some billions, I have to check the data again, we're able to mobilize just about 10% of what is required for Africa to meet that gap. And so African governments alone cannot resolve this challenge. We need the private sector, we need civil society, we need non-governmental organizations and international bodies to be able to achieve this objective. In conclusion, let me remind you that the future of Africa's energy is the future of Africa itself. By making our energy system sustainable, we make our economies resilient. By making them inclusive, we uplift millions out of poverty. And by making them competitive, we position Africa as a strong voice in the global energy transition. I therefore challenge all of us, governments, businesses, investors, civil society, academia, to leave this conference not only with ideas, but with commitments. Commitments to collaborate, to innovate, and to act decisively. Once again, permit me to reiterate that as we come together from across the globe, policymakers, industry leaders, scientists, and civil society, we are reminded that energy is not about infrastructure and technology alone, but about people, about progress, and the planet that we all share. We look forward to engaging with you, ladies and gentlemen, towards a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable energy future. Let me thank all of you, and let me welcome you to the beautiful city of Accra. Have fun, enjoy yourselves, and live here with memories of Accra. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think I forgot to lay the ground rule here that when we invite someone to come and speak, from the moment he stands up to the stage, you keep clapping. And then when he's done speaking until he sits down, you keep clapping as well. So because you've not done that, let's clap again for the minister. We have today some distinguished people who have graced this occasion. Permit me to acknowledge a few. If I forget you, it's not out of malice. I was given a list. We have the Executive Director of our co-convener, Enzi Njayo, Charles Wanguhu. Please, let's appreciate them. ASEP Board Chair, Ms. Ikal Angele, the Eagle. We have Ms. Rukaya El Rufai, Special Advisor to the President, National Economic Council and Climate Change in the Office of the Vice President, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We also have Ms. Sunita Kamal, President and CEO of the Natural Resource Governance Institute. She's seated somewhere at the back. Ms. Shaima Hussein, Deputy Resident Representative, UNDP. Please let's acknowledge them as well. Dr. Emeka Vitalis Obi, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Nigeria. I see that Nigerians are clapping for their people more. Ghana, you have to do better. Ms. Yaye Catherine Diop, Director, Energy Transition, Ministry of Energy, Petroleum and Mines, Senegal. We also have members of the diplomatic corps here from the various embassies operating within Accra. Let's appreciate them. We have also a lot of professors in here, distinguished members from academia. Let's appreciate them as well. And of course, the biggest round of applause to everybody that is here. We'll take a keynote from our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is Special Advisor to the President on National Economic Council and the Climate Change in the Office of the Vice President, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, responsible for managing the Council's affairs and plays a critical role in developing and implementing Nigeria's climate change policies. She is also a fiscal expert and was a special advisor to the immediate past Minister of Finance, Budget, and National Planning on national revenue matters. Please, let's welcome Ms. Rukaya El Rufai to give us
We need to invest in energy. Let's give him a round of applause while she mounts the stage. Tell you there's a second round of applause.
So it passed the test. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to stand on the already established protocol. I have a very long keynote address, so I would rather just jump into it, hoping I set a good frame for the discussions of such an important topic. So I would like to begin by commending and thanking the Africa Center for Energy Policy, and its partners for convening this very important conference to hold pertinent and meaningful dialogue on Africa's energy future. You all agree with me that Africa stands at a crossroads, the crossroads of breaking away from the extractive models that have impaired sustainable development and constrains Africa's position as a strategic partner in the global energy transition. A transition that must put Africa's interests and needs at the heart of the global engagement. It's a highly political platform. The topic is highly political, and if anything, what I've learned in my role is politics always triumphs. I would also like to commend the innovative, data-centric, and research-based approach of the center, coupled with its green and inclusive approach to advocacy that ensures shared value creation. As Africa builds its energy systems, indeed whatever solutions and thought leadership that emerges from this conference must optimally leverage Africa's resources to deliver universal, clean, affordable, resilient, and secure energy for all. This is so our economies can be powered, and so we also alleviate poverty sustainably. The center's prioritization of transparency and accountability is also commendable. Any extractive industry needs that to strive and develop sustainably. And also, I would like to commend your work on promoting revenue and contract governance. The sanctity of contracts are very important. On the Future of Energy Conference 2025, I congratulate the organizers on the continuum of deliberations. It is clear that the outcome of 2024 informed this year's theme on how Africa can unlock investments for energy access and unlock the economic transformation it deserves. But most importantly, I congratulate our host, Mr. Boyache, for being named the Energy Advocate of the Year, and the ACEP for winning the Think Tank of the Year at the 9th Ghana Energy Award. This 2 wins is a testament to your leadership and also to leading with vision and impact. Now, let me not bore you and jump to the crux of the topic, which I'm very honored to be selected to deliver the keynote address. Personally, I'm very perplexed by the paradox that Africa faces. And I am sure that whoever reviews the latest energy statistics and reads the excellent concept note prepared by the organizers would feel this way. Yes, we do have a dual opportunity for contributing to energy transition and climate goals, and at the same time addressing energy poverty from energy transition. But for Africa, this breaks down from the lack of domestic mobilized resources, homegrown solutions, locally owned technologies, and high cost of capital, to mention a few. I believe that the reset of the energy systems brought about by the transition is an important greenfield opportunity for Africa, given the low switching costs and barriers we have from our nascent energy sector and unabsorbed capacity from our huge unserved population. But we must solve our challenges with homegrown approaches. So now let's start with looking outwards and the global energy dynamics. The world is moving towards net zero, and it's safe to say that energy transition is unstoppable. According to the IEA, the global energy demand grew by 2.2% in 2024. This is largely driven by the surge in electricity demand that grew by 4.3%. The unstoppable transition is evidenced by the first ever witnessed decline in oil demand, with its share total of demand falling below 30%, while that 80% growth in global electricity that was experienced came from renewable sources and nuclear power. Together, both contributed to 40% generation. And for the renewable component, solar alone, solar PV contributed to nearly 80%. The sad thing is, amidst this growth, and as the world transits to cleaner forms of energy, Africa continues to be the energy poverty capital of the world, with the continent owning a whopping share of 80% of the 750 million people living without electricity access, that 600 million that was mentioned. And more sadly, even the most basic use of energy, which is cooking, Africa accounts for 1 billion of the 2 billion, 50% of people without clean cooking methods. The continent's resource endowment, surprisingly, emerges even better with renewables, with the continent having 60% of the world's highest quality solar potential, particularly in Sahel and sub-Saharan regions, with over 300 days of sunshine annually. This is in addition to us owning 40% of critical minerals for clean energy technologies, including uranium, lithium, to mention a few. And on top of this, we have substantial potential for hydropower and wind energy across many regions. This is for just renewables. And when you look at the traditional endowments we have on traditional fossil fuel, the continent owns 7% of oil reserves and 13% of natural reserves. Looking at the future and the times we are in, I'm sure you'll all agree with me that Africa is truly blessed and we are resource rich. But on the flip side, with all these endowments, we account for just 1% of solar capacity, installed solar capacity. Our exported resources are in raw forms, only to import finished products at a premium, exporting our much needed jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, the current state of energy access in Africa is a story of constrained opportunity, lost productivity, and stunted dreams, to mention a few. We must challenge ourselves to turn Africa's resource paradox into power. Power for homes, for industries, for irrigating our farmlands, for schools and hospitals, our social infrastructure, and for the sustainable growth of Africa. If we rise above the challenge and find sustainable solutions and ensure universal access. This will mean a 30% growth in Africa's GDP by 2040, 30 million jobs by 2030, 30% increase in non-farm income through micro-enterprises, and improved productive energy use. It will also mean increased household incomes, improved educational outcomes, and reduced reliance on biomass, which will ensure strong gender equity impacts. I'm sure you all agree with me, the case is clear and compelling, more so with our absorption capacity, with the projected population growth, as Africa is projected to reach 2.5 billion by 2050. With all these advantages, we can turbocharge our economic transformation and break our people from the shackles of poverty. Our people must be able to access energy productively, and they must be able to afford it. I believe that with this case, we can unlock investments and patient capital, so we build our green industries and others at large and create green jobs on the continent. This now brings us to the finance paradox faced, which can make or mar our transition. Without affordability, our plans will just be there. They will just be great plans. The IEA estimates that achieving universal energy access in Africa will cost just 25 billion a year, less than 1% of the global energy investment pool. Meanwhile, Africa has received only 2% of global renewable investments in the past 2 decades. And financing costs for energy projects in Africa are typically 2 to 3 times higher than in advanced economies, making otherwise viable projects unbankable. The imbalance is a design flaw we must fix, because it is not about lack of opportunity. It is about the real and perceived risks facing Africa. And let me delve into some of the real risks. The political and regulatory instability from policy somersaults leads to difficulty in doing business. The poor transparency, weak enforcement, and governing institutions also affect our pricing of risks. In markets such as Nigeria and DRC, security risks are real, with vandalization of assets. Currency risks contributes to financing gaps, with dollarized cost of production due to our lack of local content and abysmal presence of value chains. Low onshore production capabilities, whereas on the other side, the revenues are in local currencies, with volatile foreign exchanges and poor access to foreign currency due to our balance of payments. The insufficient capitalization of our capital markets and financial institutions weakens our ability for domestic resource mobilizations. And even if the pool exists, interest rates are exorbitantly high. Then there is the low pool of patient capital. Not to talk of our underdeveloped energy infrastructure amidst the integrated nature of the sector, because you think of from generation to transmission and distribution, even if you generate the transmission lines. So, Honorable Minister, Nigeria still needs to work on transmission to be able to absorb your power. But thanks to distributed renewable energy and also off-grid solutions that luckily technology has brought to us. Finally, the weak utilities with myriad of issues around metering, collections, etc., contribute to pricing of risks. And finally, the absence of cost-reflective tariffs gives rise to unsustainable subsidies amidst the constrained fiscal space of African countries. Again, thanks to off-grid solutions. I'm just taking my time to go into this because we must tell ourselves the truth. So these risks are real, although I feel they are often exaggerated, leading to a high cost of premium for Africa. This is in addition to poor credit ratings that Africa needs to address by investing in transparent and collected data systems while engaging with the rating agencies. We must proactively share data transparently, and we must take the rein in telling our stories. Now, those are the risks to financing, but now let's come to look at the barriers to unlocking investments. First and foremost, I don't think our governments are investing enough. We must lead with self-investments. African countries must show confidence in themselves by leading and investing in clean energy. The fossil fuel age enjoyed government investments which helped attract investments into the sectors. Africa must realize the nature of this unstoppable transition in play, and governments must ramp up investments in clean energy. I'm happy to hear of Ghana's Clean Energy Fund. Other countries should follow suit. Then we need to address bankability. Too often our projects fail before they begin. Not because they lack vision, but they lack structure. We must use our experts and transaction advisors. I will repeat it, we must use transaction advisors. I mean, before my current role, I was in government before, and I've observed that we joke with taking transaction advisors. And that's why we end up signing bad contracts. On any transaction, you need a technical advisor, you need financial advisors, and you need legal advisors. They will help us structure bankable projects that will help de-risk and meet investors' appetites. For power, a project will be deemed bankable if it has regulatory clarity, reliable revenue models, cost-reflective yet affordable tariffs, and the confidence that governments will honor their commitments. Finally, we must leverage innovative finance to reframe the narrative. Africa is not a risky periphery. It is a frontier of opportunities, and innovative financing can unlock this reality. First is to leverage blended finance to share risks and crowd in private investments. As Honorable Minister mentioned, you have the green bonds and infrastructure bonds that can tap into global climate conscious capital. It's huge. You have banks, investment banks with trillions of dollars asset management that even for impact, they have set aside some funds. But only structuring the projects well can help tap into this pool. You have carbon markets and sovereign guarantees to help lower cost of capital. Then domestic resource mobilization, so that such as African pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and capital markets to finance our projects. And I have a very good example to share. Coming from TICAD, from Japan, we were at TICAD. And in Nigeria, under the Human Capital Development Program Accelerator, we have a project on clean cooking that we're conceptualizing, Project FOCO. And we are working towards leveraging high integrity carbon credits in a PPP model to address clean cooking. We went to make a pitch to a Japanese financier, but we used transaction advisors to prepare. To sum it up, Africa must identify its purpose, have visionary leadership, create its long-term strategy with unwavering commitment to Africa's interest at large. The Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement presents a platform for cross-boundary cooperation that can help build the much-needed integrated energy value chains and infrastructure. It can also help us harmonize markets and amplify our collective bargaining power. We must do value addition onshore to unlock our green industries. We must stand together with a collective stance on the global engagement on international rules of energy trade, climate finance, and mineral value chains that currently too often disadvantage African nations. We must choose our pathways wisely and commodities to build those value chains on wisely because of the disruptive and high evolving technological terrain and the new breakthroughs that are witnessed at an accelerated pace. But very importantly, and as mentioned by the chief host, we must ramp up investments in R&D to invest in our own solutions and our technologies. This is what China has done. We must ramp up R&D investments and back our innovators with capital mentorship and market access. And to just sum it and end, I would like to end with a paper I stumbled on by Mr. Mamet, where he said, the energy transition for Africa has to end with an African Inc. for the Africans, by the Africans, and in a manner that works for Africa's interest. Thank you for your kind attention.
We must model our example on the Chinese sample. She deserves a round of applause. Give it up for her, we get good advice and factors in her speed.
Very well done. Very well done. The claps continue to, she sat down. Thank you very much for that insightful keynote, highlighting the risks and also a final call for action that I think redefines, use the words used to define democracy whilst we were studying political science in school. Government for the people, by the people. But now energy transition for the African people, by the people. And, which one? I've forgotten the rest. Anyway, thank you very much. So we'll take I think one photo up with the minister. He has to attend to other government business. So Minister, you come here with Ben, members of ASEP board, and the guest speaker, our co-convener, Charles. Yes, Charles is hiding. All our guest speakers, you can join.
Some agenda we must pursue. Let's talk about the story of energy. Lots of alternatives driving the global.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you. Right.
Let's talk about energy, translating it into multiple benefits.
Yes. So
Characterized with competition. That's what it's all.
we are going to take a very short commercial break. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to sell during the commercial break while the minister takes a leave of us. And then in the next 5 minutes, we'll reconvene to take our panel sessions for the day. We have exciting panels coming up, preceded by presentations as well. So please, don't move, just stand up and stretch your legs for the next 5 minutes and then we'll come back. Thank you very much.
Ooh, come, let's talk about energy. The future of energy brings us to clarity. Oh, let's talk about energy. Oh, come on, how do you feel? Let's talk about it in our communities. Let's discuss these issues much more in detail. Oh, let's talk about energy. That's what it is. Oh, you will have that lovely time. Ford Foundation, we appreciate your contribution. Deloitte, Oxfam, Global Witness, the American Climate Foundation. Come everybody, let's come. Let's talk about energy. It has a multiple beneficial effect. Come, let's talk about it all day long. The injection of fossils, you may understand it. The levels of consumption. Come, let's unlock Africa's power derived from versatile energy. Talk about all the variety. Oh, let's talk about energy. Of course, considering climate change has its effect. This would be the time, so we must all invest in energy. Lots of organizations who bear some interest. So, you and I need to have a talk. You and I need to have a talk. level it on levels of advantage. Let's take advantage of the value chain. Let's talk to organizations and societies supporting this move. We can do it together now, so we need to get involved. Come, 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 let's talk about energy, day to night. Come, let's hit it right. Let's talk about energy. Let's talk about it in the schools, communities and hamlets. Let's talk about it everywhere. Let's talk about it day to night. Let's talk about it in the regions. Let's talk about it everywhere. Oh, come, let's talk about energy. Future, future of energy. Oh, oh, oh. Come, let's talk about it. One of the benefits is to unlock our economic power. It will strengthen our societies with high levels of consciousness. Let's talk about it everywhere. Spread the good news all around. Oh, come, let's talk about energy. Come, let's talk about energy. Come, let's sing about energy. Come, let's propagate the good news. Let's talk about energy. You and I must get involved so we can cut the story across. And be something if you like to shake it up and do it. Come, let's unlock it, lock it. Come, let's talk about the benefits. So, hey, yeah. Let's talk about energy. We need to set up examples, relevant examples. Let's talk about the advantages of preserving it and making sure it never spills across. Talk about the cost implications. Talk about the disadvantages of not taking advantage. Talk about it, everybody, let's find ways. Let's adopt scientific mechanism, especially cost beneficial to society. Talk about it everywhere. Talk about it in the schools. Talk about it in the churches. Talk about it in the communities. Talk about it everywhere. Take an individual initiative and push it all around, yeah. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, let's talk about it everywhere. To talk about it once you participated in this conference. We must communicate, we must pass information, we must send the good news all around. Talk about it everywhere. Let's talk about the cost component. about the benefits and everything. Everybody come along, let's do it. Boom, ba-da, bam, 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 ba-da-da-da-da, bam, 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 bam. You may use their vocables and do what brings you capability. Tell me something.
Hello? Hello? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's come back and resume our seats.
Let's come back and renew our seating. The MC is ready to set the pace for the day. All right, everybody settle in on your chairs. Everybody settle right in your chairs. Everybody settle down. We are just about to roll. Time is running out. So let's settle down so we can go ahead with the conference. The MC is calling on everybody. Let's settle down. We are just about to begin. Settle down, settle down, settle down. Let's settle down. Let's settle in on our chairs. Let's settle in on our chairs so we can keep up the pace for the day. Talk about the future of energy. We must be factual in our information, back it with understanding. We must talk about technology, uniting thoughts together.
Thank you very much. You know, the interesting thing about this small exercise is that the way you respond to my instruction on coming back will determine whether you get another short break. So far, people are not doing well. So if you want me to give you another short break soon, please let's fill our seats as quickly as possible and get the program going. I'll give 10 seconds to the last people to file in, and then we'll continue.
All right, please, let's be swift to our seats. Whilst walking back to our seats, I want to take a moment to again acknowledge our partners. Ezi Jayo, Africa Initiative, our co-convener, and also we are most grateful to Ford Foundation, Open Society Foundation, Global Methane Hub, Natural Resource Governance Institute, Africa Climate Foundation, Publish What You Pay, Global Witness, and Deloitte. We are most grateful for supporting us and making this happen. Please, let's keep coming. We are zooming into our next session. So Africa is confronted with an old age challenge. It's as old as Methuselah. Our funding has been with us since the beginning of time, and in the new era of energy transition, is still lingering on. And this is aptly captured in our next session. That's Beyond Aid, unlocking innovative financing pathways for a just and inclusive energy transition. So we have well-selected experts in the field to come and deliberate on this subject. How can we move from aid dependency to self-sufficiency? Because a study by IRENA indicates that between 2000 and 2020, global RE investments reached $2.8 trillion USD. Unfortunately, Africa accounted for just 2% of that 2.8 trillion. And this is a mere 13 USD per capita. You ask yourself, what do we do with 13 what will you do with $13 if you want to access energy in your home as we transition to cleaner sources of energy? So this morning, to set the context for our discussion, there will be a presentation by the country manager of NRGI. He will be setting the context focused on unlocking finance, driving implementation of transition plans for Africa's inclusive adaptation pathways. So Dennis is a resource economist and policy analyst with over a decade of experience in the extractive sector. He currently serves as the Ghana country manager for NRGI, where he leads work on extractive sector governance and the energy transition. His expertise lies at the intersection of climate change, natural resource governance, and the transition to green economy, with a particular focus on the role of transition minerals. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Dennis Jeyu, the country manager, Natural Resource Governance Institute, as he tells the context for this session. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Mabel. And I'll stand on the existing protocols, given that my time is very limited and I'm just supposed to be setting the context. I think what we've heard this morning from the minister, from Ben, and our guest speaker, all shows an intersection between energy, climate, and the economy. And I think that it is important we situate this in the next panel. But of particular concern is the issue of inclusivity, how we are going to move forward with funding that does not cripple the economies that are supposed to be in transition. And so I wanted to just set a bit of context. We all know the energy sector has been contributing, is the biggest contributor to emissions. I don't know who's. Sorry, let me try to see if that. I hope. I went too forward. Can we go back to the first slide? Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, but there's a big intersection between climate governance and the transition, with the energy sector contributing significantly to emissions. Even though we've heard of statistics this morning that are talking about huge investments in the renewable energy space, which is also displacing a bit of the fossil fuels. And we can see that even in 2024, for instance, emissions from the energy sector increased by some 0.8%. And at the same time, renewable energy investments increased significantly, displacing some 6% of fossil fuels. Displacing some 6% of fossil fuels, and also leading to a decrease in their contribution towards the climate crisis. And I think that Africa is at a special place in this discourse, because Africa continues to also attract a lot of the investments that we see in the renewable energy space. If you look at about 5 of the renewable energy sources, wind, solar, nuclear, heat pumps, and EVs, have all seen a significant increase since the beginning of the transition, and particularly in 2024. There's a slide before this. If the controllers can go to that, because that's what I'm speaking to. Oh, Sorry about the mix-up. But I want to be sure people are following. So I'm supposed to be thanking you very soon. I mean, I would probably leave the slide and just speak. Let me try once more. If it doesn't work, I'll just say what is in the mind. Yeah. So the point is that investment flows into Africa's energy sector are projected to be around 100 billion. And half of this is still going into fossil fuels. But this is a significant improvement. If you have about half of the investments going into renewable energy and energy efficiency solutions in Africa, from where we are coming from, we know that that is quite significant. If you look at the trends from 2015, globally, we see the role of renewable energy, which is the green line there, increasing significantly. We've seen many of these investments going into countries like China, which is hitting almost $1 billion or $1 trillion, about $900 billion of renewable energy investments going in there. Of course, with a significant amount also going into the US and the EU markets. And all of this point to one thing, that countries are in a race to address the climate crisis. The good thing is that we've managed, unlike other problems, we've managed to cost what it will take to move in line with the transition and to address the